The Legacy of the Immortal Samurai, the story of Miyamoto Musashi. The morning mist clung to the mountains of Harima province like a silk veil, the same mountains that would witness the birth of Japan's greatest swordsman. In 1584, as autumn leaves painted the landscape in crimson and gold, a child was born who would transcend the boundaries of martial artistry and become a legend. This is the story of Miyamoto Musashi, but it is also the story of an era, a philosophy, and a way of life that would echo through the centuries. The world that forged a warrior. The Japan of 1584 was a land torn by conflict. The air carried the distant thunder of warfare, and the scent of burning incense mingled with that of smoldering villages. The Sengo period, aptly named the Age of Warring States, had transformed the country into a massive chessboard where daimyo moved their armies like pieces in a deadly game of power. In the province of Harima, life continued despite the chaos. Farmers tended their rice fields beneath the watchful eyes of samurai patrols, merchants traveled treacherous roads between fortified towns, and in temples nestled among misty peaks, monks continued their ancient traditions. It was into this world of contrast, of sublime beauty and terrible violence, that Miyamoto Musashi opened his eyes. The child of two worlds, young Musashi's earliest memories were painted in dual tones, the harsh discipline of his father's dojo and the gentle wisdom of the local temple where he occasionally found refuge. His father, Shinmen Munisai, was a man forged by combat, whose reputation as a martial artist was matched only by his stern demeanor as a parent. The boy's daily routine began before dawn, when most children still dreamed in their futons. While morning dew still glittered on spider webs between the practice dummies, young Musashi would already be practicing his strikes, the wooden sword becoming an extension of his small frame. His father's teaching method was unforgiving, each imperfect stance met with swift correction, each moment of hesitation addressed with stern rebuke. Yet it was during these grueling morning sessions that Musashi first glimpsed what would become his life's philosophy. The sword, he learned, was more than a weapon, it was a mirror reflecting the soul of its wielder. Every strike contained a universe of meaning, every parry revealed the truth of one's character. The first test, the year Musashi turned 13, marked a turning point that would echo through history. The morning of his first duel dawned clear and cold, the kind of autumn day when the world seems carved from crystal. His opponent, Arima Kia, was a wandering swordsman who had made the mistake of underestimating the young prodigy. The duel itself lasted mere moments, but in those heartbeats, Musashi demonstrated the innovative thinking that would become his hallmark. Rather than adopting the traditional stance expected of a samurai, he charged forward with the unpredictability of youth, wielding his wooden sword with both power and precision. Kia, bound by convention and expecting a traditional exchange, found himself outmaneuvered by a child who had already begun to see beyond the rigid forms of traditional sword. The wandering years following his first victory, Musashi embarked on a journey that would span decades and the length of Japan. The young swordsman traveled on foot, his belongings limited to what he could carry, a spare kimono, his swords, and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. He slept under the stars more often than beneath a roof, learned to read the weather in cloud patterns, and began to understand that true strength flows from harmony with nature rather than dominance over it. During these years, Musashi developed his revolutionary two-sword technique, the Naitanichi Awai. This was born not from a desire to show off, but from a profound understanding that limitation often springs from convention rather than reality. Why, he reasoned, should a warrior limit himself to one sword when he had two hands? This thinking exemplified Musashi's approach to both combat and life: question everything, accept nothing as immutable truth except that which you have tested yourself. The duel at Ganrajima, a battle of minds, the legendary duel with Sasaki Kojiro, deserves special attention, for it represents not just a clash of swords, but a battle of philosophies. Kojiro was everything Musashi was not, flamboyant where Musashi was austere, specialized where Musashi was versatile. Even their weapons reflected this contrast. Kojiro's Nadachi was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, while Musashi arrived with a wooden sword carved from a bow toward the morning of the duel. Musashi employed psychological warfare with masterful precision. He arrived hours late, knowing the wait would unsettle his opponent. When he finally appeared, his casual demeanor and crude weapon were calculated to further disturb Kojiro's composure. The actual combat lasted only moments, but those moments were the culmination of years of strategy and understanding of human nature. Continue with new sections covering the spiritual warrior, the artist's soul, about his painting and writing, teaching the way, about his school and disciples, and final days and legacy. Epilogue: The Eternal Warrior. Today, nearly 4 centuries after Musashi's death, his principles continue to resonate. In boardrooms and dojos, on battlefields, and in classrooms, his teachings about strategy, mindfulness, and the pursuit of excellence find new applications. The story of Miyamoto Musashi is more than a historical account. It is a testament to the potential that lies within every human being to transcend their limitations and achieve true mastery. As the sun sets over the mountains of Japan, much as it did in Musashi's time, his words echo across the centuries. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. In this simple truth lies the essence of his legacy, the understanding that true mastery comes not from blindly following tradition, but from finding one's own way while respecting the wisdom of the past.